What is up? Welcome into yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. Benstant reaction, an instant reaction to breaking news, a game, and in this edition of Benstant Reaction, we are breaking down USA basketball just moments ago, defeating Serbia to advance to the gold medal game. And normally, I wouldn't do a segment on this. I wouldn't talk about USA beating up on Serbia. I wouldn't do any of that. I wouldn't break down an Olympic game that wasn't the gold medal, but given the circumstances, given what we watched, given what we witnessed, it absolutely needs to happen. So let's talk about it. In this game, we witnessed history. And for the final time, history. It felt like this was the perfect ending. We know that they're still playing. But it felt like the perfect ending to the three horsemen, as I've called it, the three horsemen of this generation of basketball. Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, LeBron James. The greatest players in this era of basketball, of the 2010s, of the 2020s, of the late 2000s. LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant reminded us one more time just how great this era was. Instead of coming on this show, and I was going to do a reaction either way on this show, coming on here, I was going to talk how this was the biggest blown opportunity in sports history. This is the biggest upset in modern sports history. I was going to rip into this team. I was going to talk about how this could be a scarlet letter on Stephen Curry's legacy, on Kevin Durant's legacy, on LeBron James's legacy. I was ready to talk about all that. And I am a LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time believer. But I'm furthermore honest to the truth. And I would have been honest. I would have given it how it was. Yes, an Olympic gold medal isn't up to the standard of an NBA championship. But when you are expected to succeed, you better excel those expectations. And USA coming out there with 12 all-NBA caliber players, multiple MVPs between those players, they better win. But instead of talking about that, and instead of being angry, and instead of finger pointing, and instead of going after LeBron and Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry, I'm celebrating them. I'm doing a complete 180. Down 17 points to Serbia. Staring at the face of the worst modern American sports loss in history. Those three guys answered the bell and reminded us why this era of basketball is so great. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Stephen Curry, never subbed out in the fourth quarter, giving it their all, willing their team to victory. There was a point in that game with 5 minutes to go. I believe they were still down 8 points. I was like, if Serbia hits another shot, it's over. And then at some point, they just flipped a switch. They showed the entire world, hey, listen, we know you're catching up, but we're still better than you. And there's a chance we're always going to be better than you. There was going to be a talking point on this show before they won that game of this is why people look at American basketball and say the AAU culture has poisoned the minds. You think you're better than everyone else. And the more fundamental team won. But that didn't happen. That's not what happened. LeBron James, the greatest basketball player of all time. Stephen Curry, the greatest shooter of all time. And Kevin Durant, potentially the greatest scorer in all three levels of all time, willed their team from down 17 points and saved this era of basketball. This would have been a scarlet letter on all three of them. You could have talked about how Steph Curry failed again when he was supposed to win it, i.e. the 72-9 Warriors. Oh, LeBron James, his super team failed again. Oh, shocker. Kevin Durant doesn't work with other superstars. We've seen that story before. Script totally flipped on its head. And just to kind of put a bow on all that, congratulations to anyone that watched that live. That was sports history. That was an ending to a perfect movie. Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, LeBron James fighting side by side by side at the same place, at the same time, on the same team, saving this generation of basketball and this era of basketball from the biggest embarrassment and sports loss in history. You will never see something like that again. 3 all-time greats, 3 all top 10 NBA players of all time, putting a team on their back when all hope seemed lost. Like the rest of the team looked like a deer in headlights. Anthony Edwards isn't hitting shots. Bam Adebayo is chucking up shots. Derek White is playing like a bad role player. Those 3 guys, cool, calm, and collected. There was never a moment in that game, to a point where it frustrated me, where LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry actually looked like they were going to lose that game. I wanted them to have a little fire. I wanted them to start to break it out. But as soon as the Serbians started to try to get in the heads of USA, got a little too high on their horse, pardon the pun, Nikola Jokic, and those 3 guys saved this era of basketball. LeBron James showing at 40 years old nearly that he can still put a team on his back for stretches, maybe not to the likes that he used to. Steph Curry, when needed, can still be clutch. And Kevin Durant can ice the game with that little shimmy, hesitation, crossover, pull up, elbow, J, butter. Honestly, that might be my favorite sports, my favorite basketball moment of all time. Honestly, that might be my favorite basketball moment of all time. Seeing 3 all-time greats, seeing 3 all top 10 players in NBA history, defying all the odds, down 17 points, and saving this generation of basketball from complete and utter embarrassment. 90s Dream Team old heads will be talking about how this team is soft. Steve Kerr's legacy's on the line. Are we sure he's really a good head coach? Can Kevin Durant win with other superstars? Can he coexist? Stephen Curry, oh, shocker again, he choked in the big moment. LeBron James, oh, failed super team, couldn't win with everyone, not the greatest of all time. In the closing minutes, those 3 guys stood up to the task. The Serbians, up multiple points late in that game, deer in headlights. And I will argue this. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and LeBron James were under way more pressure than they've ever been to succeed and win that game. An NBA championship, no one is expected to win that season in, season out. It's the hardest thing to do in sports. USA gold medal, you better win that. We expect that. You might not get as much praise, but there's more pressure. If you don't win the Olympic gold medal, that's a scarlet letter on your name. That's a scarlet letter on those 3 players. And Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and LeBron James coming back down from 17 points, putting this team on their back. The only 3 players, along with Joel Embiid, who did not stand like a deer in headlights, freeze up in the moment, and in the most pressure any of them have faced in their careers, given the fact that they are expected to win the gold medal, they faced adversity, they stared it right in the face, and they dunked on it. That's what Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and LeBron James did. Not only were they under the most pressure that any of them have ever been in to win. Can you imagine if they didn't win the gold medal? Can you imagine if they didn't win the silver medal? Can you imagine the amount of scrutiny that would be under this team and those three players and this era of basketball. The most pressure they were ever in, down 12 points in that fourth quarter, come back and win it. The three horsemen, as I like to call it, the three best basketball players of this era, Stephen Curry, LeBron James, and Kevin Durant, saved this generation of basketball from what would have been the worst sports loss in modern American sports history, not just basketball. And to everyone watching that game, take a good, hard look. Soak it all in. Because you will never see that kind of greatness from three all-time greats, three all-consensus top 10 players in the NBA, in the NBA's history, in the same place, at the same time, defy the odds, put a country on their back, and avoid the biggest sports colossal failure in history. And it's going to end up in a gold medal win. I don't even know if movies have had better endings than we are going to see in the sunset career, in the sunset back nine of LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant's careers. And that's what I got from that. Huge, ginormous, insane, and thrilling victory for the USA.